By the end of this video, you should understand what sharps are, what flats are, and what natural signs are, what they do as well. So we call this accidental. So make sure to watch this video all the way to the end, because this is very, very important for you to understand things like C sharp, F sharp, A flat, all those things you hear in music. Sometimes if you're a complete beginner and you don't know what they are, I want you to stick around all the way to the end, because this is going to be very, very helpful for you. Welcome to Heartstrings Violin Academy. If this is your first time here, I'm Samuel, and I bring you the best violin tutorials, violin lessons, violin secrets, and theories like this as well. So you'd want to be a part of this family. Click that subscribe button right there. Turn on the notification. Also, let me know how this video is helping you, or how I can help you in the comment section, what videos you'd want to see as well. Let's get straight into this one. Right, so you might have seen this sign before in music. That looks like a number sign or a hashtag. This is called a sharp in music. I'm gonna explain what it does now. This one that looks like a B or has a little bit of a tail, this is called a flat. And then this one right here is called a natural. It's like two L's, one upside down. This is called a natural. Right, so these are called accidentals in music. Right, so accidentals are signs we draw on before a note to alter the pitch of that note. By altering the pitch, it either raises the pitch, changes the pitch, reduces the pitch, or neutralizes the pitch, whether it was raised or flattened. Then the natural sign can do that. So for example, a sharp increases the pitch of a note by a half step. So let's put an upward arrow. I'm going to explain that statement I just made again just now. Arrow to that. A flat does the opposite, reduces the pitch. And the natural, think of the natural as making things natural, stabilizing things. Right? I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail. All right, let's use this staircase here as a demonstration, where each of these steps is what let's refer to each of these steps as a half step in music, which is the closest distance in Western music in pitch. So let's say this is one pitch, this is another pitch a little higher than that one, this is another pitch a little higher than that one. Before we get back into that, let's go back to that sharp. So let's say we have our G right there, which is third finger on the D string. So a G sharp would mean move that finger a little bit forward, and that's your G sharp now. So what just happened there? That sharp just increased the pitch of that note. This was your G, and now this is G sharp. So it sounds a little bit higher by what we call a half step. A flat does the opposite. Let's say this is your G again, and then we put a flat to that G. A G flat will go back down, and then that's your G flat right there. That G has been reduced by a half step. Good. I'm going to explain how natural comes back in just now. So think about it this way. If you have your A here, the next step is going to be A sharp, right? Because we're referring to each of these steps as a half step, right? And the next note is going to be B. Right after B in music, we have C. B and C, it's an example of what we call natural half steps, because B and C doesn't have any space between them to put a sharp or a flat. Good. Right after C, we have C sharp right there. And then after C sharp, we have D sharp, and so on. The flat is just like the opposite of that. So for example, if this is D, we're going back down, that C sharp is the same thing as D flat. If we're going back down here, this A sharp is the same thing as B flat, because the flat reduces the pitch by a half step, while the sharp increases the pitch by a half step. So let's have a closer look at the board. So we have our alphabet here: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all the way back to A, right? A to B is separated by what we call a whole step. A whole step is two half steps, right? Which means something can go in between here. And what do you think that could be? That could be A sharp here. Or if we reduce B by a flat, that could be B flat right there. So look at this on the violin. We have our B, first finger on the A string. That's your B. If we put a flat to that B, that will tell us to go back down a little bit, which is at the tip of the A string. And now this is the A string. If we put a sharp to that A string, it means go up a little bit, which is at the tip of the A string as well. So that's your A sharp. So A sharp is the same thing as B flat. So in music, we call those enharmonic notes. Enharmonic notes. These are notes that have two different names, but they are actually the same thing. An example of that is A sharp and B flat. Let's go on. We're going to find more examples just now. And we say B and C are separated by half step, right? So you cannot have B sharp because B sharp is C. Right? Think of it as you've seen a keyboard before. You have some black notes and some white notes, right? The part that does not have a black in between is either B or C or E and F, because those are what we call natural half step. So B sharp would be C, E sharp would be F, C flat would be what? B, because the flat reduces the pitch by half step and B and C are half step away from each other. Good, so nothing can go in there. Here we can have C sharp or we can have D flat, and what do we call notes that occur like this? Enharmonic notes. We keep going, we can have D sharp, we can have E flat. Can we have E sharp? No, E sharp is F. Can we have F flat? No, F flat is E, right? So we can have F sharp here, and we can have G flat here. We can have G sharp here, we can have A flat here. Good. The next thing I want you to understand today is that these accidentals in music, in written music, affect notes within just one measure. Let's say this is your staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces. Right. If we put a sharp here, it means all of this note in this particular bar has been sharpened, right? So this is the space C in written music, right? So that means we're going to play these notes as C sharp. What if we want to play a normal C? We would have to put a natural there to cancel out the effect of that sharp. So now this becomes a C, a normal C or a natural C. Right, if this natural sign wasn't here, this would still be a C sharp, right? Every C in this bar will be a C sharp. But would this next bar be C sharp? No, because the sharp affects just notes within just one bar. Not just the sharp, the accidentals. The flat will do the same thing. The natural will do the same thing. Say, let's say we had a D flat here. D flat, we put a flat on this. That means all the D in this bar will be D flat, right? What if at some point we want a normal D in this bar? What are we going to do? That's a D flat. If we put a natural here, it cancels out the effect of this, makes things natural again. And now that's a normal D, right? You understand how these works? Right, so this is how accidentals work. Accidentals affect notes within just one bar. Right, so keep that in mind. I'm going to add just one more thing for today, and then I'm going to summarize again on the board. Right, so just like we have accidentals, 2, 3, 4. This is your staff, your 5 lines and 4 spaces. The last line is too small. That's your staff, your 5 lines and 4 spaces. Just like we have accidentals that affect the notes within one bar. Let's say this is the treble staff. Right, when we have the accidentals placed at the very beginning of the music, in the first bar of the music, we call those key signature. Key signature. Right, so for example, if we have 2 sharps here, 1 sharp there and 1 sharp here, well, you can see one of the sharp is on line F and the other sharp is on space C. So this would mean all the F in this music would be F sharp. You see how powerful key signature is? This is not just for that bar normal. Same thing for this one, all the C in this music would be C sharp, because key signatures are much more powerful than accidentals. If it's like an accidental, let's say we put it flat here on line B. This only affects the B's in this particular bar. This cannot be B flat. This would be a regular B because this doesn't have any power here. But if we put this here, this is a B flat. You understand? Right, so accidentals affect notes within just one bar, while key signature, which is the same accidentals but placed at the very start of the music, right, affects all of that particular note. What if at some point in this music we want a normal F? Since we already have a sharp here saying that we should play F sharp all through this music, what do you think we do? Now we're going to bring back in the natural sign. You understand how the natural works now? So if we put a natural sign here, now it's going to be F natural, but just within this bar. Right after this bar, the next bar is going to go back to F sharp because of that sharp at the very beginning of the music, telling you that all of that particular note in that music should be F sharp. Could be flat, right? They work the same. Once you have them at the very beginning of the music, it affects all of that note, and that's what we call key signature, right? In the next class, we're going to learn how to write out major scale, and we're going to start understanding what key, how many of these signs at the beginning of the music represent which particular key, and all of that good stuff. When it comes to reading music. So let me summarize real quick for you. We talked about accidentals. Sharp increase the pitch of a note by half step. Think of half step like a little movement in distance, a little movement up in the case of a sharp. A flat does the opposite. A natural, when written in music, is going to neutralize the effect of either a sharp or flat. And then we talked about our alphabet, what type of intervals we have between them. For example, it's a whole step. Whole step means two half step, which means we can have something in between it, and so on. We talked about natural half step between B and C, as well as E and F. Then we say when you put this group of accidentals at the very beginning of music, that is now key signature, and that's much more powerful than the accidentals that affect notes within just one measure. Right, so let me know if you have any question on this stuff. Quite interesting stuff today. Right, enharmonic notes, you know what those are? Notes that have two different names, but they're literally the same thing. It's just like saying A sharp, which put the first finger at the tip of the A string, and B flat, move the first finger back to the tip of the A string. Good, so click that subscribe button. Let me know what video you'd want me to do on music theory next in the comment section below. If you've not subscribed, you want to be a part of this family like I mentioned, go revise this stuff. Shoot me the question in the comments. Let me know what you think as well in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.